Play like a superstar in the Diadora Speed B Icon. Diadora introduces a brand new high-performance tennis shoe into their lineup with the Speed B Icon. It features premium technologies including DD Anima cushioning in the midsole that was previously in their running shoes for ultimate cushioning and comfort, along with D-skin material on the upper for maximum support. Diadora's tried and true Duratec 5000 rubber compound in a modified herringbone tread pattern in the outsole offers optimal traction and durability. I've had the opportunity to play test many Diadora shoes in the past, and they all seem to have one thing in common despite being different models, in that they're really comfortable right out of the box. And the B Icon is no different. I felt like the upper was nice and plush and supple, and then the underfoot cushioning was really nice as well. On court, I thought these shoes performed really well. The support and stability were great, although I will have to mention that when you do lace up these shoes, that you do make sure to lace them through that kind of outer loop to make sure you get the locked in fit and feel. I thought the traction was great as well, very grippy on court. I would have preferred something with a little bit more give, as I do kind of like to slide out of my shots at times. But yeah, very grippy outsole with these shoes. And overall, I'd say that these are a great high performance tennis shoe, very comfortable and a great addition to the Diadora line.
Playtesting these B Icons was a bit of a roller coaster ride. Mostly good, so I'll start there. Out of the box, the DD Anima technology that they use for their cushioning of their running shoes has now made it over to the tennis world. And this was a highlight for me. It was super comfortable no matter how long the hitting session was. So from that perspective, I was super stoked to have that in these tennis shoes. Moving on to stability, another thing that is super important to my game is movement. So stability again was a huge highlight as well. Moving in and out of shots, especially from the baseline, was super trustworthy, comfortable, never felt like the shoe was ever gonna roll over on me. And then moving on to a couple of downsides, for me, the ventilation was a little bit hot. So it wasn't the worst I've ever had, but certainly something to note that my socks were a little bit soaked at the end of those longer hitting sessions. So comfortable feet, but ventilation was a little bit of a downside. Durability was another thing that was a little bit shaky. I'm not a toe dragger by any means, but I did notice by the end of the play test, there were some marks on my toes of the shoes and a little bit of tread loss. So another thing to note, but overall, these are great for the player looking for an overall performance shoe. I think it does a lot of really good stuff on the court.
This is a great shoe, great play test for me, testing out the new Diadora B Icon. This shoe checked most of the boxes in a positive way. Overall traction and outsole durability was top notch. I didn't have an issue with ventilation, given this is the colder time of the year. I'd have to test this out in warmer climates to know for sure. I didn't have any issue with breathability on the shoe. Overall fit, I would say compared to a Blue Shield AG, that's a broader shoe, so you're gonna get a more glove-like fit. And I definitely wanna mention that I went down a half size, and I think these things run a little bit on the long side. But when I went down a half size, I got a nearly perfect fit. So those are the positives for me. Fit and performance, top notch. The only issue I had with the shoe, and once you're in, it's a great ride. The lacing system is one you got to kind of pick through individually to get the proper fit on it. And the other thing was that there was a slight tear on the outside of the shoe developing, which didn't have anything to do with the structural integrity of the shoe, but it's more of an aesthetic thing. Overall, just a great tennis shoe, great play test. Now it's time to take a trip across country to see what our play testers in Georgia think about this shoe. Andrew, what are your thoughts on the new Diadora B Icon?
Thanks, Mark. When it comes to the Diadora shoe, one thing you'll notice right away, and I'm sure you guys mentioned it as well, is the little hook on the outside here. So what I really like about that is it adds a ton of stability. So I never had any issues feeling like I was going to roll my ankles over. But the other thing I like about it being on the outside here as well is I don't really feel that in the shoe itself. Some shoes that are more stability shoes feel a little stiff, but with this being on the outside, still very comfortable, still very flexible in the upper when that's kind of hidden on the outside there. So that's a huge pro for me on the shoe. Also, I tend to have more of a flat foot. So for me, when it comes to shoes, I'm very picky on which ones work well for me. I tend to get plantar fasciitis if I'm not in the perfect shoe, especially with my flat feet. So I'm happy to report that with the slight arch support in here, I never experienced any plantar, which is very rare. But having that flat foot, it's not uncomfortable for me either with that extra arch support with my flat feet. I never got any blisters or any sort of discomfort. With the uppers, one thing I do want to mention, you will see it is very mesh material. It's kind of got a honeycomb shape there, which looks breathable, but personally, I don't find that it's very breathable. And if you actually look at it, it's layered, so you're not going to have a ton of breathability in there when you think you see that mesh upper. So just a kind of a personal preference. I like to have a little bit more breathability in there. And then lastly, I want to talk about the midsole. It's very comfortable. It's got new super foam that Deodora uses in their running shoes, and that's just extremely comfortable, which I noticed on all areas of the court. Has nice bounce and response as well. And then the outsole, I haven't noticed any wear myself, but I'm not a big slider, so usually I'm not wearing through shoes too quickly. But overall, it's a very comfortable shoe, has kind of checks off all the boxes that I'm looking for, especially with my flat feet. And for all you other flat footers out there that don't have a wide foot, this is definitely a shoe you're going to want to check out. That wraps up our review of the Deodora Speed B Icon. For more information on this shoe and many others, be sure to check out Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, and Tennis Only. Thanks for watching.